So, I talked about recently, once they franchise tag T. Higgins, that they are not going to trade him, they're not going to move him at all, and they're going to work on a long-term contract. And I still believe that. And now I believe it even more than before. Reason why is because several team executives, right, said that T. Higgins could get the Bengals a first round pick or an early second round pick if they were to consider trading him. And here's the reason why I now 1000% believe he's not going to get traded. The reason why is because the Bengals wouldn't trade him for that. Guys, listen, okay? In my first video I talked about, I said that I think his value, and I still believe this, is a first round pick and a second. A first round and a second round pick for T. Higgins. That's the very minimum I would trade him for. Personally speaking, I'm not an NFL team. I'm not an NFL executive. That's where I would start off with, right? If we give him the exclusive franchise tag, we would get, non-exclusive franchise tag, we would have gotten at least 2 first-round picks if we would have done that. Saved $2 million, and we would have been able to kind of maneuver around from there. Now, I'm not saying that any team would give us 2 first-round picks, but the point is, we could have franchise tagged him and said, hey, listen, anyone wants him, you gotta give us 2 first-round picks to get him. Instead, we franchise tag him with the exclusive, which meant we have all the control. The reason why they're not going to trade him, and after this thing here is even more reasons, is because they wanted a first-round pick for Jonah Williams, guys. A first-round pick for Jonah. And last year, NFL executives came out and said, Jonah's not worth a first. At best, he's worth a second or a third, and that's it. And he's not a first. You cannot get a first-round pick for him. I think they actually said the best value was a third, fourth, or a fifth. Like, I don't even think they said a second. While Cincinnati, a team who does not give in to demands based on what other people think, they have their own values. They value the player at a certain value, and they stick to their guns. And they said, no, he's worth a first-round pick. And nobody gave us the first-round pick. Jonah Williams stayed on the roster, and he's on the roster as of today. They value T. Higgins more than a first-round pick. I promise you Cincinnati values T. Higgins more than they value Jonah Williams. They value him, most likely, exactly what the non-exclusive franchise tag would have equaled his value at, which is 2 first-round picks. I'm not sitting here and telling you that we're going to get 2 first-round picks. No. Do I think, personally speaking, outside of our organization, that this is what teams would be offering? Absolutely yes. They would probably say, hey, listen, we'll give you a first-round pick, or we'll give you an early second. And Cincinnati would come back and say, no, we want at least this amount. I don't know exactly what they value him as. My guess is it's somewhere close to 2 first-round picks. It might be a first-round pick and maybe a third or a player or something. That's kind of might be where they value him. We don't know exactly, but I promise you they do not value him as just a first-round pick or just a second-round pick. Now, after he got franchise tagged, T. Higgins did respond to what happened of him being franchise tagged, and he said, very, very simple, it is what it is. Which I'm not surprised about. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to be too happy. I will say to a certain degree, I think you can be happy because if you're T. Higgins, you get a 1 year of $21.816 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed contract, and it's kind of like a prove it deal. And then if you don't get a contract this year, you can go get a big deal next year. Obviously, with injuries, you never know how long your career is going to be, but I think it's kind of nice there. Zach Taylor did come out and talk about it and said how he's very happy to have T at least around for another year. And it's going to be awesome, right? And at the end of the day, I still don't think we'll trade him. I really don't. I think, if anything, we would just sign him to... We're going to try to sign him this offseason to a franchise tag. Sign him this offseason to a long-term contract. That doesn't work out. then we would probably put him on a franchise tag and just let him play the year. Unless we get a ridiculous value or a bag for him, I don't see us trading him. I really don't. And especially not now when executives are saying that, hey, listen, the best we're going to give you is a first round pick. That case is closed then. That door is closed. Unless the team is desperate enough to give us at least 2 first round picks, then I think Cincinnati would start listening. But the fact that they value Jonah Williams as a first round or early second, there's no way they're going to value T as the same thing. So, is it possible? Absolutely. It's always possible. Anyone could get traded at any time, and maybe there are some connections between the Bengals and Brian Callahan. Maybe Brian calls up Zach and says, hey, man, what can we do? What can we do to make this happen? And Zach says, you know what? You're my guy. We love you here. We'll work out a trade. T says, I would love to go play in Tennessee. I'd love to go back home. You know, Brian, I played under him. I love him. Maybe something gets worked out there. But outside of Tennessee, and I mean outside of Tennessee, period, I don't think there's anything else. There is no other trade proposal, such situation that will happen. Because again, it's more than just us now. I don't think a team will give us the value. And I don't think they will. And I think any team that tries to work with us to get this trade to happen, they're going to sit there and say, how much do you want for him? No. No, we're not even in the same ballpark range. Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I have been wrong in the past. And if I'm wrong, I will take ownership to it. But with how everything is going, I feel like this is definitely going to be a trade might go through, but it would have to be we win in 1,000 times percentage, 1,000% win for us over our, opposing whoever we trade with. And I just don't think any team's going to do that. At the end of the day, T. Higgins, when fully healthy and out there, is a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And if Chase were to go up for contract, Chase were being traded, he's not going to, obviously, ever. But if he was going to be traded, he would be commanding Tyreek Hill value. Justin Jefferson got traded, he would be commanding the Tyreek Hill value trade. Tyreek Hill value trade where there was 5 draft picks traded. And that's pretty much what T is going to get. Well, for the Bengals side. For other teams, yeah, early first, early second. Now, at the end of the day, again, I'm very firm with my value of 1 first round pick and a second round pick. Would I take less than that? It really would depend on the team, in all honesty, and also where the pick is. Because at the end of the day, if Brian Callahan calls us up and say, hey, listen, I have the 8th overall pick in the draft, would you trade us, T for the 8th overall pick and maybe like a 5th round pick? Well, now I'm picking early in the 5th. I'm picking early in the draft. I can get Brock Bowers at number 8, or I could get one of the tackles, J.C. Latham, or I could get, whoever I want at 8. And then I also still have 18. Then I'd probably consider that, especially if it's Brian. But if we're talking about like a team in the second half of the draft, like 25 to 30, which is pretty much a glorified second round pick, is calling us up, no. There's not really going to be anything there. But tell me down below your thoughts, opinions. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.